In 1917, the US government blew up a tower with dynamite. The man who built it had offered to give free electricity to every person on Earth. The official reason for destroying it was wartime security. That's what they said. The victim. A machine that could have changed the world. The evidence, a half-built tower, a withdrawn check, and 3 words from the richest banker in America. The suspect, never charged. The case, still open. In 1901, construction began on a structure on the north shore of Long Island that was unlike anything the world had ever seen. In 1917, the US government blew up a tower with dynamite. The man who built it had offered to give free electricity to every person on Earth. The official reason for destroying it was wartime security. That's what they said. It was 57 meters tall. It had a copper dome the size of a house, and buried beneath it, a shaft of iron pipe that descended 36 meters into the earth. The man who built it said it would transmit electricity wirelessly to every person on the planet, for free. By 1917, it had been demolished. Not because the idea failed, but because someone made sure it never got the chance. Welcome to Erased Inventions. This channel exists because history has a deletion problem. Every week we investigate one real invention, a machine, a technology, a breakthrough that existed, that worked, and that disappeared. We follow the documented record. We let the gaps speak for themselves. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, you know what we do. If you want to know what they didn't teach you, hit subscribe. It takes 1 second, and every week we find something new that history tried to bury. Now, let's get into it. To understand what Wardenclyffe Tower was, you first need to understand the world it was built into. It was 1900. Electricity existed, but it was a luxury. It ran along copper wires strung between wooden poles, and it reached only those who lived close enough to a power station. The vast majority of the world, farmers, laborers, families in remote towns and villages, had no access to it at all. They worked by candlelight. They heated their homes with fire. They had no telephone, no radio, no refrigeration. Nikola Tesla had spent the previous 2 decades changing that world. Born in Serbia in 1856, he arrived in America in 1884 with almost nothing. He had 4 cents in his pocket, a poem, and a letter of introduction to Thomas Edison. He was, by any measure, the most gifted electrical engineer of his generation. He invented the alternating current system, the AC power grid, that still powers the world today. He designed the generators at Niagara Falls. He held over 300 patents. But Tesla was not satisfied with a world where electricity followed wires. He wanted to transmit it through the Earth itself. He had been working on the theory for years, and by 1900 he was ready to build it. Tesla called his project the World Wireless System. The idea was this: the Earth itself is a conductor. It carries electrical charge, and the atmosphere above it, the thin layer of ionized air between the ground and the outer reaches of the sky, also carries charge. Tesla believed that if you could inject electrical energy into this system, into the Earth and the atmosphere simultaneously, you could make the entire planet resonate, like striking a tuning fork. And if the planet was resonating with electrical energy, then anyone, anywhere on Earth, could tap into it. A receiver, a relatively simple device, could draw power from the resonance the way an antenna draws a radio signal from the air. No wires, no infrastructure, no monthly bill. Wardenclyffe Tower was the transmitter. The design was extraordinary. The tower rose 57 meters above the ground, but that was the smaller part of the structure. Below ground, Tesla had engineered a root system, his word, of iron pipes driven deep into the earth, designed to make perfect electrical contact with the groundwater table beneath. The copper dome on top would ionize the air around it, creating a pathway between the tower, the earth, and the atmosphere above. Tesla's calculations suggested that a single such tower operating at full power could cover the entire planet. One tower, free electricity, everywhere. His financial backer was J.P. Morgan, the most powerful banker in America. Morgan had given Tesla $150,000 to build the tower, believing it would be a wireless telegraph system. Then Tesla told him the full vision. Morgan's response was recorded. 3 words. "Where is the meter?" In other words, if anyone can draw power from the air, how do you charge them for it? Before we go further, and if you're finding this story as unsettling as I did when I first researched it, share it. Send it to someone who thinks they know their history. The best way to keep these stories alive is to make sure they can't be buried again. Like the video, leave a comment with what you think really happened, and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. In 1903, the funding stopped. J.P. Morgan withdrew his financial support. He did not fund another penny of construction. The tower stood half-built on Long Island. The dome completed, the underground root system finished, but the electrical equipment never fully installed. Tesla spent the next several years trying to find alternative funding. He wrote to Morgan repeatedly. The letters are preserved. In one, he writes, "You have deprived me of my greatest achievement." Morgan never replied. The official explanation you will find in most history books is that Morgan withdrew because Guglielmo Marconi had successfully transmitted a wireless telegraph signal across the Atlantic in 1901. This made Tesla's more ambitious projects seem redundant. But here's what the record also shows. By 1901, Morgan had significant financial interests in the copper wire industry. This was the very infrastructure that free wireless electricity would have made obsolete. He was one of the principal investors in the companies that manufactured and sold the cables, poles, and meters that powered the existing electrical grid. There is no document, no letter, no record, in which Morgan explicitly says he shut down Wardenclyffe to protect those interests. The record simply shows that he stopped the money, and did not explain why. In 1917, with Tesla bankrupt and the tower having stood idle for over a decade, the US government ordered it demolished. The official reason: security concerns during wartime. Enemy agents, it was feared, might use the tower to communicate. The structure was pulled down with dynamite. The site was sold to cover Tesla's debts. In 1943, the year Tesla died alone in a New York hotel room, the US Supreme Court quietly ruled that many of his patents the government had disputed for years, were valid. The ruling came too late to benefit him. Here is what we know with certainty. The Wardenclyffe Tower was real. The patents are real. The underground structure was excavated in 2012 by researchers and confirmed exactly as Tesla had described it. The science of wireless energy transmission is real. It is used today in wireless phone charging, in RFID tags, in medical implants. The principle Tesla was working with was not fantasy. What we cannot know, is whether it would have worked at planetary scale. Tesla's calculations have never been independently verified because the experiment was never allowed to reach that stage. What would the 20th century have looked like if it had? 2 world wars fought without the oil wealth that powered them? A developing world that never needed fossil fuel infrastructure? Climate change on a different trajectory? We don't know. We can't know. What we do know is that a man built a tower to give the world free energy, and the tower was torn down. Draw your own conclusions. Next week, we look at another invention that should have changed the world, and didn't. A 20th century patent, a working prototype, and a paper trail that ends abruptly in 1973. The record is there. We'll follow it. If this video made you think, share it. Put it in front of someone who thinks history has no secrets left. Let them decide. If you haven't already, subscribe. Every week, one cold case, one erased invention, one question the history books didn't ask. And if you want to go further, leave a comment. Tell me which invention you think deserves to be uncovered next. I read everyone. We follow the evidence.